Closed captioning for great tastes is presented by Manitoba Canola Growers. Canola. Eat well for life. Manitoba Liquor Mart presents Great Tastes of Manitoba. Great Tastes is brought to you by GreatTastesMB.ca. Local farms, local foods. Great Taste is sponsored by the Government of Canada and Manitoba Agriculture through the Canadian Agricultural Partnership. Welcome to Great Tastes of Manitoba. My name is Des Daniels, and tonight we are going to eat well with more meals together. Of course, it would be Ellen Pruden bringing people together as she does, Manitoba Canola Growers. Yeah. And Aaron Allblas has his role to play too, product ambassador, Manitoba Liquor Marts. So we have 3 amazing recipes tonight. They're all kind of different, but it's all about bringing people together in a variety of different ways. So let's walk through our recipes tonight.
Yeah, well, we have the classic French onion soup. So we're gonna bring it together, a couple little tricks and techniques with that. And then we're gonna have an asparagus potato tarragon pizza. So we're taking pizza to the next level.
Right.
And then we're gonna end around the table and making sugar cookies.
Cookies, okay. So you've got a lot of different things happening. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm inspired by Ellen's French onion soup. I know she's cooking with Shiraz in this recipe. So we're actually going to feature 3 products that are from France and talk a little bit about how old world wine labels give you a lot of information, but they need a little bit of translating.
Sounds great. We'll talk to you in a few. Well, no big surprise, French onion soup. We're going to start with some onions, right?
Right.
Okay, so peek at the market. Peek at the market. I know, ruin the surprise. That's me.
I love peek at the market, and you know, because then we're buying our local onions, and they have so many other different vegetables, and of course, canola is our local oil of choice here.
Right.
So these are what I'm loving. These pots, like they hold the heat, they keep the heat, and then and they're beautiful.
They're just
so they
good
can go
looking
from
too, yeah.
you know, on the stove into the kitchen. You want to warm it up, and these pots work really great because then they keep the heat all around. So our pot's nice and warm. We're adding in 2 tablespoons of canola oil. You want to get a nice base down there.
Yep.
And we're just gonna let it kind of heat through. You can see how with our onions, we've cut them all nice and thin,
yeah,
right?
Really?
Super,
did you do that by hand?
No, I use a mandolin.
Could have lied. She could have totally
have a
lied.
knife, but you know, you got a mandolin as well. So nice and super thin, that's the secret, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have a French onion soup with some big
glob.
chunk of, right? So now we have our oil warm. We're gonna add in, isn't that, that's that sizzle that you want to have.
That's a good sound.
You're gonna add that in.
Okay. So how long does that go for? Like, do you have to cook that right down? I guess you do, hey?
We do, because we want to caramelize the onions. So I'm just going to bring that. We're going to coat many of the little pieces with the oil. That's going to help for the flavor profile, and that's what French onion soup is all about. Then we're going to add in our garlic. Never start with garlic first, because you don't want a burnt flavor that's going on.
Yeah, that's always like the second thing if you're doing onions, and often onions and garlic go together, right, in these recipes. So it's always number 2 that you add in there.
So now, I've reduced the heat, right? We've lost that sizzle, but that is okay, because now it's about
Where's the sizzle? No, bring the sizzle back.
A pinch of salt, and the salt helps to bring out the moisture in the onions, which is really critical for having this caramelization take place. All right. Of course, pepper. We always need the pepper to go with it. So we'll just sprinkle that through. Okay. So
nice
this caramelized onions is a go-to that goes on top of burgers, on your hot dogs, on your pizza maybe. It's something that you should be having as your repertoire. It's a wonderful condiment, and of course it's our base for the soup.
Okay, so is this like the amount of onion that you would use for this particular recipe, or is this like or I guess you could like make a double batch and then put some aside and use it for any of the other things that you just mentioned?
Freezes beautifully. Okay. Because if you're going to go through the effort of crying while you cut up the onions maybe, you want to have that you can have it for a double purpose. So if you can imagine, 40 minutes later, here we are.
Yep, trella.
Trella. And if you start to find that, you know, there's maybe little bits that are starting to burn, add a little water, maybe add in some of your broth, and just keep scraping that bottom. Those are your flavor builders.
That's what you need.
You need that.
Flavor builders. Okay.
Now we're making a roux. So we have our flour.
Got the flour.
And we're gonna mix that all around. Des, you wanna give it a mix?
I would love to.
So we wanna coat all those onions, and it's also about cooking the flour through. I don't know if you've ever had something that kind of has that raw flour taste to it. It's not appealing. You've gone through all this effort. Let's cook the flour through.
Not my cooking, Ellen. That would never happen. Not ever, not once,
These
not
are the
ever.
tips, Des, that we share with you. it brings out the nuttiness and the flavor of the flour. So this is really critical. And as Erin had talked about, we're using a fabulous wine.
Yeah, you're not even waiting for the beverage pairings later. You're just going straight for the vino.
We should have a glass, because you know when I make French onion at home, it's the wine that I drink is what I cook with.
Right.
That is always
one for the
key.
pot, one for me.
Yes. So we're
Okay.
going to add that in, and that's going to help to make our roux.
Lovely. Now, how long does this go for?
So this is about 20 minutes, but we got a couple more ingredients, and then we're done.
Okay.
So we have our Worcestershire. You say it for me.
Worcestershire.
A bay leaf, critical for making French onion soup. We have some fresh thyme. Use fresh thyme for this recipe.
Okay.
Okay. And then we're using our beef broth. We're just going to gently pour that in and allow all these flavors to come together.
Hey,
so
look
I'm
at
using a low sodium one,
Okay.
because then we've added in some salt to the onions, and then you can kind of flavor and taste it how it's going on.
Okay,
So
fair
that's
enough.
going to come all together, and then you just
Lovely.
sit back.
Yes, drink
Enjoy,
your glass of wine.
finish your glass of wine,
Okay.
eat together, you know, have their meals around here together, and really enjoy. Look at the short distance, if we go back to
And
the
already
first
it's
pan,
cooked down quite a bit.
It's already starting
Yeah.
to cook down, which is
Okay.
really nice.
And then this is kind of what because the toast is critical. That's a super important part of this. And there it is.
There it is.
We have these pre-made, and then this is the beautiful result that you get from all of that super hard labor.
So hard.
Thank you so much, Ellen. Okay, so French onion soup. When we come back, now for something completely different: asparagus, potato, and tarragon pizza. We got a beautiful dough we're going to work here with here. Manitoba Canola Growers, right here on Great Tastes of Manitoba.
You're watching Great Tastes of Manitoba, brought to you in part by Manitoba Liquor Mart. Enjoy responsibly.